everybody, and welcome on into Sidelines. I'm Drew Patrick. On today's episode, we talk track and their push towards the PSAC championships, plus we talk with baseball coming off an exciting weekend. Back to Sidelines. Let's continue to talk track and field as we have joining me here, Christian Tanner. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
So this past week at Shippensburg, finally a breakthrough race for you of this season, able to claim that top spot, and boy, oh boy, was that a close race. Talk me through that.
We just coming into it, Coach and I had a race plan, so we want to be down to about 154. We've been getting a breakthrough for training, so we needed to cover that gap and make sure that we perform on that. So we had a race plan to come through and finish that out with 154. We had a few people scratch out of the race. That would have been a good pull through it to help me get right through that with that being a new best. But we came to the line and it went out fast like we would plan out. It's going to be a little aggressive. I was a little slow for the first 400. I was 1 to 2 seconds off of my pace where I was supposed to be, but I just made sure I'd maintain my position and wait, and if there was any gaps that might open up, just make sure I'm covering those tactically. Then with that 300 left to go, with the first place guy, Tyler Bailey from Bloomsburg, he has a really good kick, so he's my side partner when it comes to the kicks at least, so I knew I needed to get up on his shoulder, and by the time we came to the 200, I made sure I was trying to at least get in contact with him so I could use that last 100 to use that as a slingshot to get up around him. We got around that last 100, and it didn't feel like we were moving very fast, quite honestly. And I was just dead set on, I'm going to get you. I'm not going to let this down. And I was just more afraid that we were going to run out of real estate before we got to that line, but I just made sure I tried to keep best form as much as possible, keep driving. Anything I got left, and luckily when I did dive, I got him. It was pretty relieving to hear the official say 4, then 2. My hip number was 4 and his was 2, so he called mine first. And if he would have dived, he would have gotten me. So luckily I got him, so that's all right.
Hey, gotta love those nail biters, though. I'm sure it's great for you. It's an interesting thing there at that meet. Two things factor in: the fact that that same track is going to be where the conference championships are in place. Does that have any effect? Do you guys pay closer attention to the track, or is it just, hey, it's a track, I'm going to run my 800, I'm going to run my time?
It does make a difference. It's kind of like a cross-country course. You get to preview it. Everybody just thinks it's a track is a track. There's a lot of different tracks that are going to grip differently with different spikes that we might use. For instance, that JMU meet, that was a fantastic one to grip the spikes for. Shippensburg is really good, but when we went up to Alfred, it was a bad track to grip for their spikes. So there is a plus to seeing it beforehand, knowing how to run it, what parts might feel faster than others. So there's always a positive to take from that.
And then the other thing that you saw a lot of the people that you're going to see in the conference championship meet, or just some great athletes from this conference. How does that help to kind of gauge where they are at this point of the season as well?
It does put a better perspective on where training is or may have to go. With being COVID, we have to more so try to one-up the other person as a mind game when we're not with them. So my competitors might be training this hard, so I better capitalize and train this hard, even though I haven't seen them yet. So being able to see a lot of the field through the 800 for the PSAC, it was nice to get that gauge of where they are for fitness-wise, so we can tweak and kind of change where I might need to go so I can have the upper hand once we get back to PSACs.
So looking forward, a meet at Lock Haven this weekend, and then the big one, the PSAC Championships coming up. So this week before the main event, I guess I'll call it, what is your focus?
One, of course, staying healthy. just doing a little bit more touch-up work, a little quality, some 300s for speed, maybe a tempo, moderate pace, just kind of sharpening things that might need to be fixed up a little bit. Start to kind of gauge race plans, start to think of a bunch that we can possibly go through, and coming to a meet, just making sure that I'm working on proper form and technique, so being as efficient as possible to come into the championship season.
You're looking forward to it. I'm sure you are as well. And thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
And Sidelines continues after this. Do not go anywhere. Welcome back here to Sidelines. Let's continue our journey for track and field and talk to a man who made quite the journey on the track with Kevin Heeman. Kevin, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
Speaking of that journey, I'm talking about the 10K, obviously. A long time on the track, but hey, getting a first place finish there has got to make that feel a lot better.
It felt really good, honestly. First 10,000 meters on the track, and yeah, it was a really long race, I'm not gonna lie, but it was really fun during the moment.
So obviously, there's a lot of mental things that people don't think of when it comes to the 10K. I mean, obviously, you're on the track for 42 minutes, but what are some of those things, too, to make sure you keep your pace and also mentally stay in it when people make moves at different points?
So one thing for sure is you definitely want to try to stay in a pack no matter what, whether you're in the front of the pack or in the middle of the pack. You got to just make sure you're sitting in that pack because it's going to help the race go by faster. When you're by yourself, it's going to be a long race, that's for sure. Also, another thing too is making sure you can count your splits on your watch too while you're running. It definitely helps go by quicker as well.
So some of those things, especially with the 10K too. First of all, come conference championship time, if you run the 10K, that's at night. It's dark. It's beautiful. But anyway, going back, so you have the watch. You're checking the splits. What are some of those things then you have to do to make sure you keep getting your split? Because you want to stay in that pack, but you want to keep hitting your time. Where's that balance?
So sometimes there will come a sacrifice that you have to make when it comes to checking the splits and trying to stay within a pack. If you find yourself in a way slipping off the pack, just in a way you're gonna have to try to lock onto the pack and just hang on. If you fall off, then that's when you're gonna have to start checking your splits to try to make sure you're staying on that pace.
So towards the end of that race, walk me through their end, trying to get to that finish at the race to win that race. Talk me through that aspect of it.
Okay, so with about 5 laps to go, we hit the 20 lap mark, which is 8K. I was sitting in second place, and I was just sitting off of the leader, and coach just told me to make a move, and I was shocked because originally the goal was just to run 520s for the entire race, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll make a move around the outside and take the lead. And I started picking up the pace a little bit, and I think my 5th lap was a 72nd lap, and he just told me to back off and run a 5-minute mile for the last mile, and I just kept checking the splits, and when I came through the finish, I ended up running 6 minutes for the last 2K, so I was about 4:48, 4:49 pace, so I was really happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll say. The other thing that's very interesting about this past meet specifically, there's a couple things, and I've asked the others this as well, that this is the same track that you guys will be running at the conference championships. How much does that play into a factor? Do you focus on the track? Do you try and get a feel for that track? Or is your mentality, whatever track it is, we're going to get a feel for it?
It's more so like whatever track it is, get a feel for it. I know that the conference meet, it's more, I mean, you're going to be running the race, so it's going to be more of a physical aspect, but thinking of it more mentally as just being in the conference meet, the championship meet, and just trying to find a groove in it.
And then along with that is some of the competition that you saw in the 10K are going to be that same competition you might see come at the conference meet. So how do you gauge yourself against that at this point of the season with some of those same people that you might see later?
So I know I think I'm sitting in 8th right now overall. So I know that there's going to be a couple guys who are going to go under 31 minutes. So I feel like they're going to go out a little harder and break off the pack. So it's a little nerve-wracking, but I think if I can just tune in with the splits that I'm trying to find, I think I'll get into a pack that will want to run about the same time I will. So I can kind of just hang on in that pack.
So the other thing, obviously, this being really your first collegiate outdoor experience, because we all know what happened last year.
Yes.
But how do you approach that? The fact that it is relatively new. You have a conference championship experience from the indoor season a couple years back, but how do you gauge preparing here then for the different atmosphere of an outdoor competition to an indoor competition? Weather can be a factor here in this.
It really can be. The weather really will determine, in a way, it can determine how the race will play out for sure. I kind of look at it as if I was in a championship meet, like indoor track or like whether it's cross country, kind of look at it all in the same perspective. So yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I guess you have had championship experience this year too, because we had the cross country championship, so we have had a championship event. But Kevin, thank you so much for taking the time and coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And Sidelines continues after this. Do not go anywhere. Sidelines. Let's switch gear and talk baseball, as joining me at the desk are a pair of teammates who love the long ball, Assaf, Lowengart, and Tyler Melko. Thank you guys so much for stopping by.
Thanks for having us.
So let's talk about this past weekend, a really fun weekend that we had here. I want to start, Tyler, obviously new to the program, but able to have a senior day moment. What was that like for you?
Well, not having the opportunity to have it last year, and for Coach to include me, it meant a lot. Something that I had looked forward to for 4 years, and it took 5 to get there.
Hey, but you got there, so that's great. So let's talk about that first matchup with Shippensburg so that first day, not quite that first matchup. What did you see in those first 2 games? Assaf, you seem to have loved the long ball this past weekend. Talk me through that first day at Shippensburg.
Starting pitching was great. It kind of took us a few innings to get adjusted. That first game, We ended up coming out on top the first game, I do believe.
Yeah.
And then second game, long day, long bus ride. I think that just kind of caught up to us. We made a few mental mistakes in the field. Didn't get things going until the last inning, and by then it was just too late.
And Assaf, what did you see those?
I think the same thing. The pitching staff was very good at the beginning. Both starting pitchers in the first day were really good. Again, we caught up in the first game. We figured it out. Second game, probably too tired, and that caught up. And then we knew that they were out of the good pitchers. So what was coming up next was a fun day. So.
Oh yes, let's talk about that fun day. Then Saturday. Obviously, I mean, we just talked about senior day, but the emotions can get high there. What do you guys have to do to kind of then taper that back in and regain the focus? Is that an easy switch to flip?
I think, it's not getting too high, but it's not getting too low. It's kind of staying right in the middle. That first game, whenever DePrimo's on the mound, we know we're in the game. So guys were ready for that, and, we had some outside influences that kind of spiked us for the second game, and we were able to pull it off.
Absolutely. Let's focus on that first game here very quickly. Yeah, you mentioned Hunter on the mound. You guys seem solid there, but what are the things you saw from their pitcher in that first game really to help you get success?
Well, I know the first time through the order, he kind of showed that he would like the quick pitch on 0-2. Problem was when he quick pitched, he couldn't locate it. It was either right down the middle or it was missing outside, at least for lefties. So once we kind of got that figured out, he wasn't going to beat us. And I know we only scored 3 runs, but I know we can hit the ball out better than we did that first game. And we played defense very well, and then that's why we won that one.
And Assaf, the playing shortstop here this year, you had some balls just cranked at you in that first game. Defensively, what were some of your focuses in that first game?
For me, the main thing was just trusting that I can make the play, not rushing myself, not thinking that I can't have my arm won't do the job. So I just trusted myself. Having Melko over the first base is fun. Big target. You just lob it in there, and he's gonna do the rest. Just trusting myself that I can make the play, and that was the biggest difference.
Yeah, I guess I could say it's kind of the opposite. Assaf, you've been steady at shortstop this season. Tyler, you've moved around a lot. How does, I guess, the mindset or the preparation change when you know, okay, I'm going to be at a different spot today?
I wouldn't say preparation changes. I think the biggest thing is the mindset. Coming in, I'm a corner infielder, and then I played 20 games in left field. But by me doing that, it allowed us to have the opportunity to win ball games. And I've always been a team first guy. I think I said that in my first interview. If I can help the team in left, if I can help the team in right, if I can help the team behind the plate, I don't care. As long as I can help the team and we're winning ball games, I'm happy.
And let's dive into that second game, guys, shall we? Because my goodness, was this one fun. So yes, I want to talk about, well, first of all, Tyler, I'm pretty sure yours hit the moon. Your home run there hit the moon. So what was the success, before we get to that final inning, what was the success early for both of you guys in that game, hitting-wise, against a pitcher? Obviously, their first pitcher, unfortunately, got hurt and had to go out. So that's a quick adjustment early in the game you guys have to make.
Right. That's not necessarily how we're used to getting to the bullpen, but to get to the bullpen that early, I think that's kind of been the motto the whole year, just get to the bullpen. The kid they brought in, we knew he had thrown 80 pitches on, I think, Wednesday. So that's a full start for anybody. He came in, he was tired, he was struggling throwing strikes, and when he did, he usually left it over the middle of the plate. And I think our batters picked up on that early, and we just hit him around.
Yeah, didn't have very much control of his off speed at some of the at bats. When he doesn't do that, he's gonna throw you a fastball, and you just gotta be ready for that one. And I think we both did it.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
So let's get into that final inning. Obviously, they go up in that final inning. What do you guys say before those final at bats, or what do you have to say as a collective group to we're down 3, or we're down 2, but we can get back into this game.
Get it to the next guy. That's the motto. And I mean, the approaches at the plate, I think in that last inning were the best they've been all year. Working counts, seeing good pitches, good takes, and eventually we capitalized.
So talk me through that final at bat there, Tyler. You pop it to the outfield, it gets beyond, and the party starts.
Well, he threw me 4 straight curveballs, which I kind of expected after I hit that one to right field that I probably wasn't going to see anything straight. So mainly going into that at bat, I kind of prepared myself for that, but I was also just trying to keep my emotions, down. I know a lot of the guys look at me to be a spark, and I'm just happy that I could deliver our first series win since 2017.
Hey, and it was certainly a fun one. Let's also talk about that feeling of getting people to mob you there. You see the whole team running at you. Assaf, you guys are going full steam ahead. Talk me through that feeling, because I want to know that feeling from both of your perspectives. Just the true elation of going to meet your teammate and having your team meet you there after you just made a big play.
Nothing beats it. But I'm not going to lie, you black out for a few seconds. Especially with all the emotions running through. I mean, I was at second, and the next thing I knew I was in right field and coach was talking to us. It was awesome.
From like the guy from the bench that runs to the guy that just hit the walk-off, it's a high and low because you see the ball hit, you see the runner go, and then once he slides, you know it's safe. You're so high, you just sprint right at the guy and just try not to die from the rest of the guys. I mean, that's the biggest thing over
That's
there.
good advice. Try not. I mean, what was it? Zach Spray got the helmet directly to, I think, the ankle from Coach celebrating.
And then Shea got trampled over there.
Yeah, Shea took a few guys down with him.
Well, it's a dangerous business, that Sylvan. But let's look ahead here. Millersville is coming up. Speaking of good pitching, historically, this has been a team that's had very good pitching. Another series, coming off a series win, what do you guys have to do to keep that momentum going?
We just have to stay focused, good at bats. I know we're definitely working on a game plan this week, but we just need to have fun with it. We know what we can do when we're focused and we're having fun, and especially against a team like that, we don't need to make them bigger than they really are. I know they're first in the PSAC, but any team's beatable on any given day.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to come at us, so we're just going to be ready and do what we do.
Hey, should be a good one. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure you guys are as well. And thank you so much for stopping by.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
And Sidelines continues after this. Do not go anywhere. What characteristics exemplify a Mansfield Mountaineer? Dedicated, motivated, unified, together. From the tops of the peak to the deep valleys, Mounties stand together. That truth has never changed, and that truth will never change. Though things may be done differently, we still stand strong. 250 student athletes, 13 programs, one mountain, one season. that's going to do it for our show, folks. To stay up to date on all things Mansfield Athletics, head over to GoMounties.com. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next week.